Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. So, a couple of things first. This video will be released on Tuesday morning. There was a video released yesterday titled Jack in the Box. I took a look at Jack Smith and what's going on and how he's reacting and responding to sort of the legal ups and rounds that are going on. Today I'm doing a quick reading on Ukraine, and I'll explain why in a sec. But over the next couple of days, I really do encourage you to hit the notification bell because I'm doing this before the convention starts. And so it wouldn't be at all surprising if I hopped on and released another video during the course of the convention, which starts Monday and I think runs through till Thursday, maybe. Wait, Thursday. So, if you enjoy the videos and you don't want to miss one, please hit the little bell, and that way you'll be notified. Um, and one more thing before I get moving, I just saw, and again, this was Friday. I saw this news about Wisconsin and how they had a primary, right? And there were something like 6 or 7 election deniers who were replaced by Republicans with a working brain. Now, I don't know how that will or won't affect the election in terms of, Democrat versus Republican energy and vote. I'm not there yet. But I thought it was just really interesting and frankly a little bit reassuring already that these people who have been yelling and screaming and pushing lies and talking nonsense, and some of them, since literally 2016, have finally been removed from office. People are just like, we're done with you, stop. And so that's like a really, really I'm sorry, it's a really good sign just for democracy. It's also a really good sign because even though it's going to make Trump crazy, um, people are sending out a message saying, truly, we don't want him around anymore, and we don't want his lies, and we don't want his stories. And if you are going to side with him because you choose to not have a backbone, well, we're going to vote you out. And so I got to say, I'm kind of impressed with that. Now that I've gotten everything, you're probably all sitting there going, well, what does that mean for Wisconsin? Let me just quick ask what that means for Wisconsin. Um, and this was the ones that got booted out were it was for the legislator, the state legislator. Okay, how do I want to ask this? In the November 2024 election, is the state of Wisconsin ultimately going to vote more Democrat than Republican? Big, strong yes. Okay. I got to tell you, right off the top of my head, I don't even know if Wisconsin's blue, red, or purple. Um, and is Wisconsin's, I guess, electoral college, are they going to go to the Biden, nope, the Harris Waltz ticket? Okay, so there you have it. I got 2 strong yeses, so don't yell at me. Alrighty, so Ukraine. Now, in the last, I don't know, couple weeks maybe, there's been some very interesting news coming out of Ukraine about the fact that they finally had, I don't know, something, a drone or something, that was able to cross into Russian airspace, basically, and, blow things up. Now, I don't encourage that whole blowing things up at the best of times, but Ukraine has been taking such a shellacking, and nothing was going on that was sort of putting Russia back on its heels. I mean, make no mistake, Ukraine and the Ukrainian people have done an extraordinary job of resisting kind of the might and the force of Putin's army. But these days, apparently, there's a lot of soldiers who are just literally like surrendering to the Ukrainians, saying, I haven't had anything to eat in 3 days. I haven't had anything to drink in 3 days. I think I'm probably going to be better off as a prisoner of war with Ukraine than I would be staying in Putin's army. So there's a lot going on there, right? Now, I'm just going to share this with you. So, and this was a while ago. This was like, I want to say shortly after the war started. I guess, when it started to look like it was going to go on for a while as opposed to being very short lived. And I remember getting sort of a vision or picture of bombs hitting the Kremlin. Now, I don't believe that that was literal. I think that the reason I was shown the Kremlin was because it would be something I would be able to quickly identify as being on being on Russian soil. And I said at that point, once those bombs, figuratively or however, hit the Kremlin, once bombs started to going into Russia, that it was not going to take so long for things to really, really turn around and go Ukraine's way, and really sort of get Putin and his armies back on the other side of the border, frankly. So I want to take a peek at that. And I understand that there are sections of Ukraine that Russia was holding that Zelensky has now taken back. So there's so much going on. There's, the election in the US, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. But, take a moment every once in a while and just send some love and light to the Ukrainian people, to Zelensky, to the army. Okay. Now that whatever countries, I think, and I believe including Russia, including the United States, we're basically saying, yeah, we'll give you all of these tools to work with Ukraine, but you cannot cross into Russian territory. Well, I mean, after what is this thing going on for like 3 years, maybe longer. It was time for Ukraine to go, yeah, you know what, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going after him where he lives. And apparently, Putin is incredibly embarrassed, and Russian people are like, "What the heck is going on? You told us that this was what did they call it? It's not a war, right? They can't use the word war." But and this was all for Ukraine's benefit, and we were doing the right thing, and yak yak yak. And so there are now Russian people going, what is going on, and why is Ukraine attacking us? Well, because your country has been attacking it for a significant period of time now. All right, I'm going to stop chatting. Let's get cracking here. Overview Ukrainian Russian. Overview Ukraine Russia. Overview Ukraine Russia. So you're starting off with the King of Wands, followed by the Ten of Swords. Okay, so this is um, yeah, about messaging, about communication, about getting accurate information. And because there hasn't been a lot of that in Ukraine, there is now going to be building questions and resentment, because they're going to start, it's going to start trickling in that things are not quite exactly the way they were told it was. It's a funny thing how the citizens of a country are all okay with, yeah, you fight on somebody else's land, but as soon as they get attacked on their land, they start singing a different tune. And I wish people could just recognize that all of that could be stopped if people trying to stop trying to take land from other people. I mean, maybe it's simplistic, but sometimes the biggest solutions to problems are. So Russia's going to be sort of suffering and dealing now. You have the Nine of Pentacles here. This is talking about the assets. The assets that Ukraine has been accumulating, my understanding is they had those drones for quite a while, but it took some time for people to, um, I guess, learn how to operate them. So this is now their resources. And what this is telling me is that Ukraine has the resources it's going to need in order to push this thing forward. And where are they pushing it? They're pushing it back towards the area, the person, the people, the country that was reluctant to look at the law, was reluctant to face the law, was going to take the law into their own hands. So now you have the Empress. And the Empress is telling us, I know for some people this is actually a Russia card. It has never been one for me. What the Empress is telling us is that there has finally been, I guess, enough momentum, I want to say, so that they've started to turn the tables and shift the energy. And now all of a sudden, what you have is a country who was in a very, very offensive mode, now having to back up and become defensive. And that abundant, that growth of the Ukrainian people, their assets, their army, whatever it is, ultimately is going to prove very, very beneficial and very helpful. You've got the Hierophant here. Okay, so this is about trying to come together, trying to create some sort of a conversation about a about stopping the war and coming to some resolution and some conclusion. The problem is going to be this, that Putin wants what he wants. And Zelensky is like, you can't have it. Like just that simple, right? I'm not giving you 1 square inch of Ukraine. And anybody who tries to make me do that, they're going to get resistance. Now, ultimately, I don't know. But right now, the energy is, if you want to talk, Russia goes back to Russia and Ukraine stays Ukraine. And that's sort of the end of it. And when he's talking about Ukraine, he is also talking about Crimea. Okay, that as far as Zelensky, frankly, and the Ukrainian people are concerned, that's Ukrainian territory. All right. So I think that you may see some attempts to sort of start trying to create or move forward with some peace talks. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds, and frankly, who steps in, and what countries step in, where they're, you know, where there's going to be attention, interest, and focus to bring this war to a close. And like I get it, there's a whole lot going on in Gaza, and people are experiencing horrendous atrocities, regardless, sorry, of what side you're on. Um, you know, both sides are attacking each other, and both sides are experiencing horrendous damage and pain. But that doesn't mean that we get to shift all of our attention away from a situation where literally, Russia was trying to steal. steal land, steal assets. And of course, the asset in this case is um, access to the ocean, right, or the sea. Um, that was what Russia wanted because basically they're landlocked, right? And so they need a way to get whatever it is they're exporting, and frankly, whatever they're importing, I guess to some degree, it has to go through land in order to get to them. And so, of course, Russia just decided, well, okay, if so I need that, I'm just going to take that. And he went ahead, and this is the thing that's been so interesting about it, is he went ahead almost like out of anger or rage or frustration. And he didn't actually think very carefully about what might happen. The other side of it is that Putin was being told a lot of sort of untruths about the readiness and the state of his army because um, the things that perhaps I guess Putin thought were getting done to the army, the upgrades, whatever, they weren't happening. But boy, there was sure a lot of money getting put into other people's pockets. So of course, this is allegedly and for your entertainment purposes only. So what you have is somebody who jumped and then once they landed, looked around and went, uh-oh, I'm in trouble because I don't have everything I thought I had lined up. And within those first literally few days and weeks, when Russia met the kind of resistance it met from Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, that was when there was like a real concern. Because for Putin, if he can't walk away from this looking strong, he understands it is going to completely collapse his um his rule, right? But truly the only way out of this is for balance to be restored. And so, I guess there we kind of sit, right? Now, okay, I flipped over three more cards because I wanted to see what's what's in store, what's going to happen for Ukraine, the world. So this will end. And when it does, Three of Cups, there's going to be a lot of celebratory energy, a lot of rejoicing, and ultimately the sun comes up. So Ukraine is going to rebuild. And I am sure that I am not the only person who has seen sort of Ukraine as it rebuilds. Um, really, really becoming almost like a cosmopolitan center, becoming a place where tourists want to go to. And so, has there been devastation? Have lives been lost? Absolutely. Are they going to find that a silver lining somewhere? They are. It's going to take time. It's going to take work, but they're also going to get a lot of help. I mean, once this nonsense, this war is settled, and Putin is pushed back where he belongs or has been removed, um, other countries are going to start stepping in and saying, let us send you our engineers, let us send you some of our equipment, let us do this for you and that for you. Because honestly, it's in everybody's interest that the democracy of Ukraine stands strong and whole. All right. Now, Russia. Next three cards. They basically stalled, right? This has been a push, pull, back and forth, back and forth. um, and it is almost like in some ways as if it's like it's like there's things that are going on that he feels are not in control. So whether that has to do with certain oligarchs or certain divisions or areas of this war effort, um, but he feels that there are things going on that he's like sort of not on top of. And what has happened is it literally has stalled him. And he's scrambling. He's trying to figure out how in heck he is supposed to um get this thing moving in a way that's going to be successful for him. Because listen up, as far as Putin's concerned, Ukraine is part of Russia. He wants to bring the USSR back together, and he wants to be the czar of it all. And that's just not going to happen. His little wish is going to go down the drain, and probably along with his leadership. So there's going to be some really hard truths that are faced by the Russian people. Some really difficult, I guess, realities, right? Choices, options, things that they weren't aware of are going to come out. And as that starts happening, you really are going to see um, sort of like a revolution. And if there's one thing that I guess a lot of us have learned, particularly just watching what's going on in the United States right now, when a whole bunch of people, like lots and lots and lots of people get together and that energy starts building, it is very, very hard to push it back. Just ask Trump, he's having a hell of a time. So, um, as things start going wrong in Russia, and as more information starts getting into Russia, you can anticipate that that dream of his is going to be absolutely destroyed by realities, by the truth. And he's not going to have the resources. And the other thing, well, interesting, the other thing is that Putin's starting to recognize and realize that, yeah, you know what, they can do what they want, and they can interfere in the elections, and they can send bots out, and they can do all that stuff. But the fool is not going to win this next election. He is not going to get back in office. And Putin is well aware that when that happens, he no longer has a puppet. I mean, he's probably got some senators and congressmen or whatever, but he doesn't have, what he had before. So he realizes that this is going to become a really, really heavy lift. And ultimately, there's going to be a lot of infighting and heartbreak for Putin. And unfortunately, by extension, for Russia. I believe that somewhere down the line, Russia will also elect to become a more democratic democracy, because I guess somebody keeps telling them they are one, even though the elections are all rigged. So, but that's going to take time. That's going to take time. And I have to tell you that energetically, as I look at it, Russia and the Russian people are going to carry the stain of this war going forward for a very long time. So that's what I can figure out and determine about that. Zelensky's energy is strong and Putin's is wavering and becoming weaker. But he's not out yet. He's not down yet. All right. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out here at Soulprint. I very much appreciate it. Take good care of yourselves. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye for now.